Hello guys, I'm Connie. Welcome to Home Cooking. Today we're going to talk about pantry staples, specifically about spicing up your cooking. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so starting off, don't be put off first of all by the size of these containers or by the fact that they're not all filled, which would look really nice, but it wouldn't be economical. I use these. Of course, you're going to have on hand sea salt, or not just sea, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Not sea salt, but just salt. It could be kosher salt. I use sea salt. You want to have it in this form, because the one that comes in like the little cool grater is great, but it doesn't make sense when you're trying to divvy out a teaspoon of salt into a recipe. Likewise, black pepper, you like it in its form of peppercorn because you might need that for a recipe, or you might need it for your grinder, and also ground pepper. Also, we got some garlic, which I have in other versions too. I have it in I'll show it to you after. That's a different one that I have. And also you can have garlic, fresh cloves of garlic, which you can use, but it's great to have this on hand. Basil, or basil as Chef Ramsay calls it, is really beautiful in its natural form. And we grow that. We grow parsley. We grow these three. The oregano too. We grow them in our garden. But right now it's October in North Carolina, so that's not happening. So anyway, those are all Italian. They're beautiful. They're great for Italian dishes. Also a lot of Spanish dishes, of course, and with garlic. Garlic is good for anything. Not everything, but just about. And then you have bay leaves, which this is the biggest thing of bay leaves I've ever seen, but at least I won't run out. There's paprika, Spanish style. There's also somewhere I've got the smoked, which is really wonderful. Then there's cinnamon. These are all staples. Coming down, these are a few more staples that I like to use and I like to have on hand. There's poultry seasoning, and that doesn't go as fast as that rubbed sage next to it. You can tell I'm almost out of the rubbed sage. Sage, I also grow. I've started to grow. Again, we don't have it in the garden now, but rubbed sage or sage just in general, is great for soups and other things. Coriander is great for Hispanic and Mexican dishes. Cumin, chili powder, onion powder, I can't do without. That moves really quickly. Fennel seed is not something that I usually have, but there's a recipe that I have. And this here is star anise. I don't know if you can see the name of it, but that's star anise. That is an interesting little thing. It looks like a spider when you take it out. And I've been adding it to some soups. Then I have sazon, which I also use, and Old Bay, which I also use. They're nice. Well, Old Bay is just pretty traditional for if you're going to make any fish, shrimp, you name it. It's good, and it's really interesting because I found on Pinterest both, kind of a copycat of both of them. You can make your own fresh using your herbs. Now, down here, I have something called badia, which is little packets, rosemary and thyme and cilantro. I prefer using cilantro in its natural form, in its fresh herb form, because it's just, I love the taste of cilantro, but this does in a pinch. And these are pretty economical, these badias, and they'll move a lot quicker. Then you have down here, and I think you can see it, oh, there it goes. There's nutmeg in its natural form. I also have dried nutmeg, but that's in its natural form. So these are my staples. You might not have need for all of them, but you should keep on hand whatever it is that you use all the time, pretty much. for whatever recipes that you cook. If you cook a lot of Italian, you cook a lot of soups, you want to have that on hand. So that doesn't hold you back, okay? And also, I want to just let you know, there are, you don't have to spend a lot for these. There's, sometimes Walmart has this big vat where they will have, like, they'll toss actually the size of the coriander. They'll throw these, all of these in, and they're like $1 each. So they're not really that much. So if you want, you could just get a hold of whatever seasonings you want. Don't spend a lot for them. It probably is cheaper just to buy the herb, but the fresh herb, but it's not going to last as long. So these are good as little shortcuts that you'll use a lot. So now we're going to move on to something called the, they're not, I call them the not quite spices. So let's move on to there. Okay, as promised, there is the other kind of garlic that I use. You'll notice that one's full because I have one that's already, this one gets refrigerated once you open it. Again, it's great to have the garlic cloves if you can get them. It's wonderful. But if you want to, honestly, if it's in a pinch, and a lot of times I just use my little garlic. But the other one, of course, anytime that it's fresh, it's going to have a more defined flavor too. But this thing is great. I like to keep this on hand. My husband gets me, again, a nice size of it because, again, I use garlic for a lot. And these are actually, these are rubs. Mostly they're rubs. They can also be used as marinades. These are my husband's. My husband is the grill guy. So he's the one who really uses these. I don't know if you're going to want to have them. I don't know if you have a grill. Certain things you can use them for and add them to, like, for example, that seasoning of garlic jalapeno. Really nice to add that to potatoes. We use all of these, the honey garlic rub, all of these get used, okay? But again, this is more my husband's domain. If you happen to have a grill, it doesn't have to be like one outside. It could be the George Foreman or whatever grill that you might own. And you can prepare your steaks with all of these. Or again, you might be able to make a blend of your own. So there you have it. These are our staples that we keep here. And let's have just a couple more words about spices. Okay, I bet you didn't think we could talk that much about spices. Me either. But just to give you a little bit more backgrounds with them, I just wanted to let you know, I looked this up on stilltasty.com, and they said that ground spices last about 2 to 3 years. Whole spices will last you about 3 to 4 years. Okay, what is the whole spice? I had to look that up too, but it made sense. Whole spices, things like cinnamon sticks, the fennel that we talked about, the nutmeg in that form, all of those things are whole spices, so they last a little bit longer. True story, and this was kind of funny. Someone had given us years ago, we're married now almost 36 years. They had given us this spice rack, which I kept when we moved down here. I kept for a long time. I never used it. This thing sat on our spice rack and really didn't get used. I would always just grab the spices that were in my pantry. I have it actually arranged on the door in these shelves. So finally I said, I want the room, and we've had it a long time. I think it's time. And my husband did not want to let it go. But imagine how long we'd had them. They've been like there for a long time. And yeah, we changed them out a little bit, but for the most part, it was there as decoration. A spice is not going to kill you, but it has really no more flavor. So really you should keep them moving. Okay, so you will have them nice and fresh. Always, if a recipe calls for fresh, definitely use fresh. It makes a difference. They're prettier. But again, just for everyday cooking, just for a lot of things that you're going to make, you could just use your ground herbs, okay? So I believe that that's the skinny on the spices. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again for part 2, which will be pantry staples everything else. That's a great name for it. Thanks for being here, and I hope to see you again.